Gothic literature is a genre of writing known best for being dark and foreboding. The majority of Gothic writing was written in the Victorian era of England and is set in Europe. The most defining characteristics of Gothic literature include isolation, restlessness, contrasting light and dark, and then just general gloom and dark description. Throughout Frankenstein's childhood, he describes living a private existence away from most children his age. This demonstrates the characteristic theme of isolation in Gothic literature. Frankenstein also includes themes of restlessness, which is also a staple of Gothic literature. In multiple scenarios, Dr. Frankenstein describes his anxiety and excitement as he creates the monster. Light and darkness also appear frequently throughout this novel, and appear in a variety of ways, including as restlessness and laziness, hope versus despair, or innocence versus guilt.
One of the big connections that we recognized almost immediately was that both Mary Shelley and Victor Frankenstein were very interested in science during their years studying at universities. Natural philosophy is a genius that has regulated my fate. I desire, therefore, by this narration to state those facts which led to my prediction of science. This is on page 34 of Frankenstein. In particular, they were both intrigued with life science and the idea of being able to create life with a spark. His success would terrify the artist. He would rush away from his audacious work horror-stricken. He would hope that, left to itself, the slight spark of life which he had communicated would fade. That thing which had received such imperfect animation would subside into dead matter. This can be found on page 8 of Frankenstein. I believe that the experiences and experiments that Mary Shelley discovered in her years at college while she was learning about this type of stuff definitely influenced her to have Victor Frankenstein create his monster in the specific way that he did in the story. Another thing that connects Mary Shelley and Victor Frankenstein is that they were both isolated from society. Mary Shelley was somewhat non-social and would rather spend most of her time in her books. There was an area of freedom that in the pleasant region where, unheeded, I could commune with the creatures of my fancy. This is found on page 5 of Frankenstein. Victor Frankenstein, as we read about in Frankenstein, gets consumed in the task of making his creation and eventually realizing he turned it into a monster and had to devote his life to hunt it down. It is a most beautiful season. Never did the fields bestow a more plentiful harvest, or the vines yield more luxuriant vintage, but my eyes were insensible to the charms of nature, and the same feelings which made me neglect the scenes around me also caused me to forget those friends who were so many miles absent, and whom I had not seen for so long. This is on page 49 of Frankenstein.
The theme our group chose for the novel Frankenstein was, "Do not tamper with the ways of nature." We chose this theme because of the overwhelming evidence that when Dr. Frankenstein creates life, catastrophe follows with it, because the law of nature is against him until the creature ultimately destroys itself. I say this because as soon as he creates his monster, that creature destroys everybody that he loves or is on a quest to. And after Frankenstein denies to give the monster a wife, the monster's rage just simply increases. And all of this is because he broke the laws of nature by attempting to create life. Symbols. There are three main symbols that our group decided to incorporate in this video. The first one being ambition. This is a major symbol in the beginning of the story because Dr. Frankenstein is more than excited to achieve the impossible, to create life. This ambition is shown throughout the beginning of the story until his goal is actually achieved and it does not go nearly as planned. The next symbol would be regret. After the creation of life, Frankenstein's creation doesn't go nearly as planned. He casts the creature away because of its hideousness, but in all honesty, he shouldn't have used dead body parts, but that's beside the point. The monster retaliates by making the doctor's life ultimately miserable and killing all the people that he cares about. The last one would be nature. Nature is obviously one of the key symbols because it is part of the theme. Nature acts as sort of the fate in Frankenstein, and those he cares about are all killed. It brings rewards to those who follow the unspoken laws of nature, but brings catastrophe to those who do not, such as shown in Dr. Frankenstein's experiences.
The main characterization I'd like to talk to you today is the monster. The monster is a lot of quotes in here about how he looks stupid and is stupid. My favorite quote is, "He was not as the other travelers seemed to be, a savage inhabitant of some undiscovered island." And that is from page 20. This shows how people viewed the monster and how he looked really weird, probably because he was made up of all dead body parts, which makes sense. I would also say he was weird. But anyways, we also have another quote from the same page that says, "A being which had the shape of a man but apparently of gigantic stature," showing how deformed the monster is, and this shows the characterization people use to show the monster. Also, the monster seems to be a murderer, as has been displayed in the novel, but he also shows affection because what he is trying to do is gain a companion. He is really upset about Frankenstein creating him to look like a hideous person who looks like, terrible. Anyways, he creates him to look like a terrible person, and the monster gets mad and kills people so he can get a companion because he feels alone. Loneliness, like in Gothism. Also, Victor Frankenstein seems to be more of a meticulous character. He, plans out his escapade to reanimate life. He seems affectionate towards the beginning, but the main thing I want to talk with you about Frankenstein is his ambition. His ambition is what drives him throughout the first part of the novel. His ambition is what drives him to greater heights, greater heights if you count creating a monster that kills everyone. Anyways, when he creates the monster, his ambition drops off and it turns more into regret, which he shows through all of the ways that he is trying to chase the monster.